Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Christopher Nolan's Interstellar in 2014. So yes, here we are with my first Christopher Nolan film review on this channel, and here we are with this Blu-ray of Interstellar here, and yes, I thought, it's time to, watch another Christopher Nolan film, to rewatch, of course, this film, and yeah, I've mentioned him, on my channel and stuff, of course, get straight into it, this guy, for me, is one of the best modern filmmakers. I love his blockbuster films, and they're so unique and stuff, and just they're very different as well within his filmography. He doesn't make the same sort of film twice, and just for me, not just one of the best modern filmmakers, but he's definitely got a place, quite high on my favourites of all time. Even though I don't love every single film that I've seen from him, I do think he's a genius. He really is, and just he writes his films as well. It's written by him and his brother. So yeah, it's a very very popular film, although a bit divisive. Strangely, it has got an 8.6 on IMDb, and it won an Oscar and stuff. But yeah, it kind of some critics didn't like the film. It's kind of it had some mixed reviews. But then some praising it as one of the greatest. In fact, on here it does say somewhere one of the smartest blockbuster film ever made. So yeah, a lot of people do love the film. Some dislike it, and yes, for me, this is my first rewatch of the film. This it's just one of the greatest films, certainly of the century for me. And for me, yeah, I would go to say it definitely has a place, on my all-time list. It's among the best films I've seen. Not my top 100, but wow, this film is, I would say, well into my top 200 films. It really is. It's a stunning film, and it's just, when I saw this, I couldn't believe it actually. Just a mind-bending film, it really is, and it's a one that is very, very different. It actually is one of his, the films that he's made with the purest heart, in my opinion. It really is such a human film, and it may be a very, very technical film, but yeah, it does. It's constantly, it involves me with these characters and their kind of their ideas, their views, and just the relationships. And especially in the last 40 minutes of the film, this goes for something really, really human, what it says, and just it reaches so far. And for me, it never falters. This film, I love epic films as well, and luckily he's made quite a few blockbusters that are epic in length, you could say, and you basically get the most out of his films. Even though they say he hasn't made loads of films yet, you do get a lot out of the running, a lot of running time, compared to quite a lot of other films. So I love that when filmmakers do this. He's a perfectionist, but he does, give you quite a lot, and you don't have to wait years just to see, say a 90-minute film or something. But yes, this film, let me tell you, is just an absolute masterpiece, in my opinion. And yeah, the basic plot, and this will be kind of a spoiler review. I will be kind of getting into some spoilers, definitely. But yeah, I'm not going to get too heavy on the plot. It's not an analysis video. But yes, set in the kind of mid 21st century. It's kind of a dystopian kind of world, and of course, Cooper, played by Matthew McConaughey, is he's basically this father, and his wife has died, and he lives with his son Tom and Murphy, and his father-in-law basically, basically you see them in the first 40 minutes all together, and then it comes into this sort of stumbles across these coordinates and stuff, and eventually kind of leading him to this NASA facility, this kind of secret base, and that's when he meets Dr. Brand, played of course by Michael Caine, and basically he has a daughter as well, played by Anne Hathaway, and Amelia, and then of course soon after that, there's loads of exposition and stuff, and basically you learn that these different plans, to kind of ensure the survival of humanity, and going to different planets, and it all involves wormholes, time travel, of course, and just many different things, that are always quite heavy, in sci-fi films, and yes, it's very very unique, this film, and the way it's executed, is something that is just completely genius, and just so creative, and just wow, this film, after that, the first 40 minutes, that's when, of course, Cooper, eventually he basically takes off. And yeah, most of the rest of the film is him traveling in space, through time to different planets, in search of resources, and yeah, just, a way for humanity to survive. And of course, there's different, catches in the film. For example, when the time, of course, on Earth is say 7 years to what an hour is for them on the planet. So of course his two children, he's of course is constantly focusing on that, and the case that time is passing and he's not with his children. So it's constantly all about this kind of stuff. And yes, you could say that the villain of the film is time itself, and it really, really taps into that. Of course, it reaches very, very. This is a spoiler review. Very tragic conclusion, and yeah, of course, it is very hopeful at the end, but at the same time, it's very, very tragic, of course, with the the fact that at the end, his daughter Murphy is an elderly woman, and yeah, she, of course, yeah, she turns out, that when he gets back and finally sees her again, she's a lot older than him, and it's very, very sad, and of course that is something that he was fearing throughout the film. And I just think the ending is so, so powerful, and just yeah, this is a film that is really, for me, flawless. And I think it's just an experience. I'm not going to get too much into the plot from now on, but just watch this film. I think the reasons responded to me, it's just how human the film is, what it kind of says about humanity and relationships, and yeah, just it's such a spiritual film, and yeah, they constantly invest in. This is a film that is full of wonder, and it has been compared, to films like, well, even Inception, but obvious being 2001: A Space Odyssey. What kind of blockbuster or big sci-fi film isn't compared to 2001? I think even if Gravity was compared to that, and I don't personally like Gravity. I don't actually think that's even an average film. Certainly not comparable to 2001 for me. But yes, some people compared Interstellar to 2001: Space Odyssey, and my thoughts are it's nowhere close, not a single bit close. But I do think this film is a masterpiece, and I can understand how people will compare it and stuff, and that's fine, of course. But yes, personally, I don't think it's on that level. Certainly not. But wow, this is just an absolutely stunning achievement, and one that is really emotional. Of course, it just really, really moved me constantly in moments, and especially the last 45 minutes of the film. At once epic, and operatic, but also so sincere and kind of just emotional. It really is so powerful. The last act of the film, and yeah, of course, you have all these different characters. It's kind of a small unit at first. The team that go into space, and yes, you've got Wes Bentley in there, and Hathaway, of course. She's plays one of the main characters in the film, as I've said, Amelia, and yeah, she's absolutely brilliant in this film. I think she gives an absolutely brilliant performance. Matthew McConaughey gets an absolutely masterful one as well. He is brilliant in this film. Absolutely, this is a stunning performance. It's a very, very demanding physically and stuff as well. And I think just the way that this film progresses, it has a wonderful flow, and it just compels me constantly. When they go to the different planets, Chris Nolan, of course, he knows how to portray wonder, in film and sci-fi, and he'd done this with Inception, and he does it again here. I think, what do I prefer? I won't fully say, but there are things I maybe prefer about this, or certainly think are better than than they are in Inception. But I think it is definitely comparable, definitely pretty much on the same level. I think this film is probably better shot. That is really saying something, because I think the way that Inception is designed, the color tones and the way it's been edited and stuff is absolutely genius. I do think it's got a better script in that film, and it is more genius in its execution of its actual its narrative and stuff. In terms of the plot and the way it kind of it's constantly flipping between different your dream sequences, of course, different states, different levels. But this one, I think actually overall has the better cinematography. It's just absolutely stunning. This has got some of the best practical effects I've ever seen. It's mostly very very heavy on practical effects, and it's definitely some of the best just visuals I've ever seen. Really, certainly for a sci-fi film, it's just genius stuff. And I think Nolan is someone who usually does this. He's a big supporter, of course, of film, and just practical effects. He really keeps this going, of course, and this is when film for me is usually at its best. It's when it's practical effects I do think are far better overall. When they're at the best, and this film it's just an experience. He uses all these different effects and trickery, but it doesn't feel like that. To immerse you in this experience, and the sound design is key here. This is something else. It's some of the best. The overall score, of course, by Hans Zimmer, is absolutely stunning. This film, when I first watched it, I'd heard many people say it's one of the best scores of all time. I was thinking, it's wonderful, but it's not maybe one of the best, and it's not something that's quite up to some of his other ones, Hans Zimmer scores. But actually, rewatching this, I do understand what people are saying now. This is the one that really is truly wonderful in its score. The way this is used in the film is absolutely stunning, and just to give the film emotion, and just it's kind of progressive as well, very progressive, very operatic. It's kind of subtle at times, but then it becomes very grand and majestic. This score, and just really overwhelming actually at times, to points where when things are happening on screen, big moments, it really elevates these moments, the score, and it's perfectly used throughout the film. And I think the first act, it is really the perfect setup. You get to know these characters. I loved the portrayal of family life, and of course part of the plot is these dust storms that are kind of occurring, and things involving the cornfields, and I just think it is really wonderfully shot here. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Malick, the way he shoots his films, and kind of captures nature. There's a little bit of glimmer in there, definitely Tree of Life. The Tree of Life is it's got some I think maybe some inspiration to taken from that film, and it's just truly wonderful. And then of course once you get into space, this is when he becomes truly creative with his visuals. This is stunning when they go through the wormholes and stuff. It's just it's genius. It really is, and it's just you believe in this. At least I did. It's actually like you're experiencing this, and it's such an immersive film. But then it never lets the spectacle overtake the emotions of the film. In terms of the characters, Cooper. I was constantly. He's a great protagonist, such a great protagonist. I was constantly immersed, in this character, and invested, and of course hoping that he would get back, eventually to his family. And of course, it's a very complex film, and I think this, of course, a spoiler review. When you get to the point where you see them revelations at the end, and it was actually him that moved, the books and stuff. And involving the dust and everything, that is just such a genius moment in film. It really is the way it comes together. It's such a great moment, and I think Jessica Chastain, who plays Murphy, when she's grown up, wow, Jessica Chastain is a wonderful actress, and just so such a great performance in this film. Best performance for me is The Tree of Life, but this one is also stunning, and just it's truly emotional, and kind of very complex once again. But it's just such a human one, and kind of sincere, and I felt so much for this, especially for this relationship between her and her father. And of course they can't, they're kind of lost in kind of time and stuff, and how they don't see each other for many years, and it's a very sad film, but it's not depressing, because the way that the film ends, of course, it's very, very hopeful, and just very gentle and stuff, and to a point where it's not a depressing ending, but it's definitely a tragedy, this film, but it says a lot about humanity, and survival and stuff. And yeah, it's not a film that kind of is pretentious at all. It doesn't I don't find it preachy or anything. It's just a wonderful kind of representation of different ideas, and just letting us, seeing if we would it entices us, of course, Nolan, and it lets us wonder. That's the best sci-fi films for me, and just what they do. They don't force these ideas on you. They let you wonder this and just ponder your thoughts. And it really is a very, very contemplative film. And just I want that it's constantly, for me, entertaining, immersive. I didn't ever get to a point where it's boring. Some people have called the film boring, of course, and that's just subjective, of course. I do think, some people, of course, won't. Not everyone will like the film, but for me, it's just something that I loved throughout the entire film. I never got to a point where I wasn't fully immersed. This is such an investing film, and just every act is just really masterful in its execution. Michael Caine is great in the film, as of course one of the main characters in the film. In the first half, and then of course he doesn't really appear after that, and but he's one of the people that kind of kickstart the mission, of course, and just the way this film immerses you in the kind of the different scenarios they have, the different plans, of course, and seeing how they pan out. It's just so immersive, and just compelling. There's a compelling drama, sci-fi, and just something else as well. This is really, really spiritual, this film, and as I say, it's epic in its scope, in its ambition, and just the way this film is executed really is masterful for me. Just the way that it kind of Nolan really, really intricately designs this film, and in the way, of course, that you see different dimensions connect, in different moments, and of course the little hints early on, the mystery that is built up, it comes together so geniusly in the end, and it's something that is just truly, truly wonderful, so well thought out, but it's not kind of gimmicky twists. It just really always says something truly, truly powerful about humanity, and it's always, while it is, a sci-fi film, and kind of, in different dimensions and stuff, it's always kind of connected in some way to these characters, and that's the thing, the characters and these relationships, that really just combined with everything else, in terms of the visual splendor, and of course the epic score and everything, and it's just truly something that in every sense, I absolutely think it's just a masterpiece. The editing and direction, it's just flawless in my opinion, and it's not a sci-fi that is cold at all. This is a truly warm film, and many people have called Nolan films cold. My response to that is definitely not. I don't ever really find this in his films. Maybe one of them is definitely colder than the others, but really, for example, the Dark Knight trilogy, absolutely not. They have true heart, and Inception. I definitely think he's a warm filmmaker. Although, some of his color tones and stuff are cooler, but it's all to say many different things, and kind of it's all for effects. But at its core, the emotions of the films, and just the film's heart is all there, and it really is something else. What this says about humanity, and the way it kind of moves me, and just lets me escape into this this experience of sci-fi. It really is something else. It's a mind-blowing film, and it has to get 100% plus tier 2. So yes, an extremely high score from me. This has actually grown on me a bit more than my first watch. Although I did instantly think this is a masterpiece. I think actually it's grown on me a bit more, and definitely a tier 2, no doubt. This is just a stunning film. It's something that it really is an experience spiritually, and just epic. It's an awe-inspiring film. I love these characters. It's something that I cared about so much. The fact of this family, and although it's only 40 minutes of the massive film this is, you see them together. You know, it really is so meaningful in the first act, and then I rooted for this, you know, these relationships, and for them to kind of connect once again. And you know, sadly, they don't really for most of the film. But yeah, I think the ending that it comes to, although very very tragic in that sense, is very very hopeful as well. And you know, I just responded to everything in this film. The Hans Zimmer score is absolutely masterful. The way it's used is genius, and just a truly you know, wonderful experience. This film, you know, is an absolute masterpiece in my opinion, and yeah, of course it has to be seen on Blu-ray at least. There is a 4K one now, and I will be acquiring that at some point. And of course, I'll be watching more, of course, of the Nolan films. You know, the Dark Knight trilogy and Memento. All these films will be watched over the next few months, and yeah, for me, where it ranks, I won't say exactly, but you know, I think there's definitely at least two films I prefer from Nolan, and yeah, it is definitely one of his best films. So for me, and you know, head and shoulders above, you know, a couple of his other ones I've seen, and yeah, it's an absolute masterpiece in my opinion. I don't think it's you know, it's a film that you know, basically many people say it's not that great, but I definitely think it deserved, you know, the acclaim that it got, basically. And yeah, it's a divisive film. People, you know, not everyone will respond to the film, and yeah, I think it really is a special film in my opinion. You know, despite what some say, just my opinion, I do think it's a special film, and you know, it's a blockbuster, and it's a sci-fi film that just you know, works on every level for me, and just an absolutely mind-blowing film, a masterpiece in my opinion, and you know, it's a truly moving film, a truly epic one, and adventurous, you know, kind of full of wonder, and it's got some humour in the film as well, and yeah, highly recommend this film. So yes, thanks for watching my review.